it's Ferg, and I'm back with something a little different. If you're here, it's probably because you read the title, and I went under the knife, okay? So this series is going to be about my experience with that, like why I wanted to do it, the research process, the pre-op process, the actual surgery process, and then, you know, of course, post-op and how everything's going now. Hey everyone, Ferg from the future here with just a slight disclaimer. I recorded this video on August 19th, 2020, and my surgery was August 4th, 2020. So if it sounds like I'm a little bit out of breath, it is because I am. I am 2 weeks and 1 day out of surgery, so just keep that in mind. Continue. So, I got a BBL, and yeah, so little disclaimer. This video is for, you know, people who are thinking about doing the same thing, who have questions. You can, if that's why you're here, you know, you can never watch too many BBL journey videos because you find out something new or something different in each one. So that's why I'm doing this. If you're not here for like information, this isn't for you. If you're against plastic surgery, this isn't for you. If you gonna have some rude shit to say, this isn't for you. Yeah, so just that disclaimer, because people tend to think that they can say whatever the fuck they want behind a computer screen or behind a phone or whatever the fuck you're typing from. But yeah, no. So also, if you are here for research and you have questions and things like that, I don't have an issue answering any questions. Just don't be rude about it. Watch your tone, because, you know, tone can get misinterpreted through text all the time. And not gonna lie, I'm on defense, so I'm probably gonna be projecting that you're being rude, and then you're probably just gonna get blocked. So just double check your tone. Don't say anything rude. None of that, oh, you looked better before. Can't go back to before, so that's pointless as comment, and stuff like that. So, you know, just keep it cute and we're good. With that being said, let's get started. I got a BBL with Dr. Rami Gurani at Jolie Plastic Surgery on August 4th, 2020. Yes, I got a BBL in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Long story, you'll find out later. All right, so we're gonna take it back to why I wanted a BBL. And if you don't know, a BBL stands for Brazilian butt lift. It is just it is liposuction with a fat transfer. In this case, it's lipo 360, which is front, sides, back. They do 12 areas, and then they put some of it in your butt and sometimes in your hips, like to give you some shape. Back to why I got it. When I was younger, I always wanted lipo, and I always wanted a boob job. I grew up and, you know, magically formed boobs, so I didn't need a boob job anymore. But I always still wanted lipo. I was very skinny as a kid and young adult, but I always had like fat on my stomach, and so for some reason that made me think I was fat, even though I was like a 00. I just had like stomach fat and I didn't like it. So I always knew that I wanted lipo. As I got older and was doing research on lipo, I came across a BBL or whatever and realized that the recovery is basically the same. It's basically the same price. So then I figured, okay, so might as well get the BBL because it comes with the lipo, and then I'll have like a more shapely derriere. So that's what I decided to do. I think it was 2016 when I saw my first BBL journey video, or the first video talking about a BBL, and so then I went into all the research on that. I started my research on Real Self and YouTube, watching YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video, reading comment after comment after comment on Real Self. And I decided to go with Miami because of the YouTube videos I was watching. Most of those people were getting BBLs done in Miami. And it's kind of like a surgery hub. So you're getting, if you do your research, you can get a good doctor for a much cheaper price. Like here in like Virginia, Maryland area, it's pretty expensive to get a BBL, like 9,000 plus. And that's a lot of money. And they aren't as aggressive with the lipo here as they are in Miami. And then different states have different rules on like how much fat you can take out and all this other stuff. So I decided that going to Miami, if I can find a doctor that I like, whose results are consistent and like, you know, of course, everything is like safe and all that, then I'll go to Miami and get it done, because paying for the entire Miami trip and stay and surgery is gonna be cheaper than paying for just the procedure here. So might as well. And down there they have more of the results that I like. I then created a surgery page on Instagram. I wasn't gonna get into any of the Facebook surgery groups because Facebook is just not my type of environment anyway, so I wasn't gonna join any of the Facebook groups. But I made an Instagram and I followed a lot of the people who were going to the surgeon that I was thinking about going to. Now, I think it was January 23rd, I decided to book with Dr. Brewster, who was at Jolie at the time. He was a newer surgeon, or I guess new to the scene, I guess. But I liked his results. He had the results that I was going for. He had consistent results, but he wasn't board certified. Now, the board certification, to each its own, whether it matters or not. Don't base all of your criteria on a board certification. And I would suggest you get a doctor with a board certification, but also look at like their experience. I've seen doctors who have been board certified for years and leave girls with lipo burn and things like that. And I've seen doctors who aren't board certified but have 30 years experience and their results are just fine. So just take that into consideration when booking your doctor. Dr. Brewster was not board certified, but he hadn't had any complications from what I could find, and he had the consistent results that I was looking for. So I booked with him. I put down my deposit at Jolie, which was $500 on January 23rd. And so when I booked, he was on special for $4,500, I think. And I booked and I put down the $500 deposit. And so then I just had to pay the rest 2 weeks before the procedure. Okay, so that was January 23rd. Put down my deposit. February 4th, all hell broke loose. He posted on Instagram that after April, he wasn't doing any more plastic surgery at Jolie, and my date is in August, so that means me. And so to get it sorted out and whatever. The posts were very vague and weird and whatever. And then the next day, he posted that, like, basically, like, just kidding, I'm not doing any surgery at Jolie anymore. So all the people that were scheduled for him, like, that day, that week, they were switching doctors. They could either get a refund or they could switch doctors. A lot of them switched doctors because a lot of them were there. But I didn't like that whole process. I didn't care where he was going. I wasn't going to follow him. So I then was trying to decide if I wanted a refund or if I wanted to switch doctors. So I had to do some more research on those different doctors and decide, like, do I want to go to you, or do I just want to get my money back and just start over and figure it out some other time? So I decided that I was going to go to Dr. Hassan because that is originally who I wanted to go to. And he had a lot of years experience. So I decided that instead of getting a refund, I would just switch to Dr. Hassan. Now, he's a more pricey surgeon, but I ended up booking him for $5,000. I think his going rate was like 65. No, his I don't know. I think his going rate was like 7,000, because he usually had specials for 65, and then later, after Corona hit, I think he did a special for 57. So 5,000 for him was a good price. It did not come with anything, no massages, no garment, no anything, which was fine for me because I wasn't planning on using Jolie's massages. I heard that they weren't good. And I mean, I had time. I would just buy my garment and stuff. I switched to Sun, and that was that. Next thing you know, the pandemic hit and more confusion. They ended up having to shut down elective surgeries in March, I believe. I think it was like the end of March. And they were thinking that they were going to open up in April, but then they didn't. They ended up opening back up May 11th. So everybody who was scheduled between when they closed and May 11th were trying to reschedule their surgeries. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm in August. I'm fine, you know. The pandemic will be over by then. So everybody's switching doctors and trying to either get refunds or reschedule their surgeries and things like that. So it was a bit hectic. There were a lot of people on the surgery pages that were upset because they had to push their date back far or something. But they ended up opening back up, and I was hoping that things would be fine by August. And I mean, the pandemic is still definitely in full swing, but Surgery Center was open and I decided to go. I thought about pushing my date back from August 4th, but I picked these dates for a reason and I really needed to stick to them, and I didn't know what the fall or the winter was going to bring. I don't know if this is going to get worse when it gets cold outside. So I just didn't want to risk it. I just took it. I just kept my date. And I ended up getting surgery on that date. Now, let's see. So that was like the pre-op process. I am in grad school, so I was just focused on school, saving up my money, trying to just, you know, stay at home, stay safe, until it was, you know, time for surgery. Well, summer classes roll around and I don't have enough financial aid to cover my summer classes. So I have to spend my surgery money that I had saved up on my summer classes. Exactly all of it. Like all of it plus some. So I was nervous and I was just thinking like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make this money back in time for surgery, but I couldn't push my classes back. I was thinking, okay, well, I don't have to, all right, so the way I set up school was I wanted to be done in a year. I started in January. I'm supposed to be graduating in December. I'm going to take spring 2020 classes, summer classes, and fall classes and be finished. So I was thinking, all right, well, so that I don't have to pay for summer classes, maybe I can just push it back and I graduate next spring instead. Well, none of my fall classes were available in the spring. None of my summer classes were available in the fall or the spring. So I had to keep my schedule how it was, which I'm glad because I made it that way for a reason. So I had to figure out how I was going to make my surgery money back. So I started Instacarting, and that plus a little bit of overtime at my job is how I made my money back. So I started Instacarting in May, I believe. Yeah, started Instacarting in May and I did it all up until July and worked overtime whenever I could, and that is how I made my money back. So it is possible. I know some people were talking about how they did like DoorDash or they got like other part-time jobs and things like that. So I ended up making it happen, and yeah, so those were like my two main bumps in the road with the pandemic. And well, first with the surgeon I originally booked, just leaving and being unprofessional, and then of course the pandemic hitting and then having to spend my money on summer classes, but then I made it back, so everything was cool. Now, after the surgery centers opened back up. People were getting their surgeries, and I, for some reason, just was not liking Hassan's results as much as I used to. Like, the girls looked good, but that it wasn't the body that I wanted. So I was kind of back to the drawing board. And then I saw somebody mention, they're like, oh, the Guarani girls are looking really good. And I was like, who is Guarani? Who is this? And then I saw somebody else saying like, oh, Guarani gives too natural results. And I was like, too natural? That's exactly what I'm going for. So I ended up looking him up. He was also at Jolie. And I did really like his results. Now, just quick insert, I recommend making a surgery page because before and afters can be deceiving. You take your before on your pre-op date and you take your after the day after surgery. You're swollen as fuck on your post-op date. So those pictures, like while you look good and you can see a difference, it's not how you're gonna look when it's all said and done. It's gonna take like 3 months to possibly a year for you to see your final results. Usually around 6 months, you can see your final results. And then like a year is, okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking like after a year. So take the before and afters with a grain of salt on the website. When you follow someone's surgery page, they're posting what they looked like before. They're posting what they look like after, and 2 weeks after, and 3 months after, and things like that. So you can actually see what they look like when the swelling goes down, and you can see if that's what you want. So that's why I recommend a surgery page. So I saw his results. I liked his results. He was board certified and everything seemed fine. So I called to see if he was available on my date. He was. He had a special at the time for $5,000. So same amount of money that I was gonna have to be paying anyway, but I get massages and foams and a garment. Wasn't planning on using the massages though, because I heard they sucked, but I would take the foams and I'll take the garment. And so really after I switched to Guarani, I don't remember exactly when I switched. It had to be sometime in like May. Yeah, it had to be sometime like late May. So I did that, and then it was basically just, focus on school, focus on Instacart, don't get COVID, and boom. So that is really, I went to work, I Instacarted, I did homework. That's really all I did. On the weekends, I would exercise with two of my coworkers. We would exercise and walk outside because I was trying to lose weight. So another part of pre-op was losing weight. I told myself before all of this that I cannot get this BBL until I pay off my credit cards and like all my debt and I lose some weight. Well, 2018, I dropped 30 pounds. I gained it back, but I dropped it. So this year I was like, I need to lose some weight for this surgery. And I ended up going from 211 to 193. So I did lose the weight, but at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, you proved that you can lose the weight. And now you paid off your credit cards. Like, you can literally get this surgery now. And so I did, I booked it. And then I lost some weight leading up to surgery. Now we get into like the lab process and all the things that you have to do before surgery in order to have surgery. So they give you your lab request. You have to get a complete blood test. It's a whole bunch of shit on there that they request. So, and then you have to get a physical and an EKG. Now, you have to do this no more than 30 days before surgery. If it's 31 days before, they won't take it. It has to be 30 days before surgery. And since we're in a pandemic, you have to get a COVID test 2 weeks before surgery. Now, the COVID test was a bit confusing because results were taking so long. First, they said you needed one for 14 days, and they said you needed one 7 days, and they said you needed both. Keep calling them and keep asking questions. So what ended up happening was I needed to have a negative COVID test result within 14 days of my surgery date. So I went exactly 2 weeks before on July 21st. I got my results back 8 days later. And those were the results I took with me. I got another test on July 28th, but I did not have those results by the time my surgery date rolled around. I got those results on like August 6th. So I had my COVID results. They were negative. I was isolated at work. I was quarantining at home, making sure I wore my mask and things like that. Eventually my second COVID test did come in and it was still negative, so I felt good about that. Now for labs, 30 days before. So I ended up doing my labs I was going to get them done on July 7th, but you have to cut out birth control and all vitamins except for vitamin C and iron. You have to cut those out 30 days before. So I was supposed to stop my birth control on July 3rd, because July 4th would have been a month before surgery. But I ended up forgetting to take my pill like the last 2 days. So I ended up taking it I think I just took it the 1st and missed the 2nd and the 3rd. So my period ended up coming 3 days earlier. My labs were supposed to be on the 7th, but I ended up starting my period early. I didn't want to get my labs done while I was on my period because my iron levels would obviously be low because period. So I pushed it back until the 17th. I was making sure to take my iron pills and my vitamin C. Also, I forgot this bit. My birth control has iron in it. I'm anemic, so my doctor prescribed me a birth control that has iron in it to keep my iron levels good. And so since I had to stop my birth control, I started taking an iron pill. When I show you guys what I packed for surgery, you'll see the iron pills that I take. So I took those, made sure I was taking those, and I ended up getting my labs done on the 17th. I went to LabCorp. My insurance ended up covering it, but she told me that if your insurance does not cover it or only covers part of it, they were only going to charge up to $150. I don't know if that has anything to do with the state or anything like that, but just double check wherever you're going for your labs. So I got that done. They did not do an EKG or physical, so I went to patient first for that. My insurance did not cover that, and they charged me $130 for that visit, for the physical and the EKG. I have like an insurance debit card, so I used that, so that money did not come out of my pocket. But if you don't have something like that, it's around $130. So the EKG and the physical, they faxed right over before I left, and I had the fax confirmation. LabCorp results were in on the 21st, and they sent them over on the 21st, and Jolie got them on July 22nd, and I knew that I was cleared for surgery on the 24th. I had a copy of my lab results, so I'm looking at them and seeing that everything is fine. So I knew that I should be cleared. I was just waiting for them to send me my clearance email. So I got my clearance email. I was good. So now, it's down to it. My last week of work, I took off 2.5 weeks from work. I took off Monday the 3rd until Wednesday the 19th, which is today. I go back to work tomorrow. Of course, you guys won't be seeing this until like November, but still. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here so it's not too long. Be sure to check out pre-op part 2 so you can see what I packed for surgery. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the post notifications and all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next vid. Bye, guys.